The logical inference, in my frank opinion, is that this is a project that is directed and curated for an investor base in Toronto in terms of investing in Toronto condominiums and investing in Toronto pre-construction projects. In today's video, another edition of a pre-construction preview where I go through a pre-construction project, give you my thoughts, opinions, and analysis, and at the very end, give you a rating. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, you can find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office. Feel free to get in touch with me with any further questions you may have about this video or any other video on any topic I have covered, or any general inquiries with regards to the Toronto real estate market and the GTA real estate market. Lastly, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is, as always, greatly appreciated, but obviously you're not obliged to do so whatsoever. But if you happen to enjoy my videos and content, feel free to give me a like, a subscription, and leave a comment. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get to the point of today's video, which is a pre-construction preview, as I do on this channel. What does that entail? Well, I run through the pre-construction project. I answer the major questions, the what, the when, and the where. I show you some floor plans and go through some price lists. And at the end, I'll give you a rating based on my own opinions and analysis. Now, each project is different from one another. Some projects are completely curated and advertised towards end users, not a large investor base. Certain projects, when you just look at the feature sheets and the finishes, where it is, how they're advertising, who the builder is, you off the bat know it's purely for investors, although they won't ever say that, right? Most projects, and the best ones in my opinion, are somewhere in the middle where they are advertised to investors and end users alike. Thus, my ratings at the end are in context, right? So I might say for end user, it's this, for a investor, it is that, right? But anyways, let's start with the basic details of this pre-construction project. This pre-construction project is called Prime Condos. It's located at the major intersection of Dundas and Jarvis. The tentative municipal address of this project is 319 Jarvis. And if you're familiar with this portion of the downtown Toronto, I've done many deals in recent months in this portion and further east of downtown Toronto. This is where the most development is now occurring, because the west side of downtown Toronto is already so much so saturated with competition, and land there is either very expensive and obviously scarce. So most of the west side has already been developed. Developers and builders are now coming towards the east side. And believe it or not, there's still ample land opportunity on the east side of downtown. Once again, we're really talking about East Dundas, East King, East Queen, maybe a couple of streets further north. Now, these areas are not the best. That is why land there is cheap, whether you're talking about certain detached freehold properties that exist, or parking lots and gas stations that are now being bought up by developers and builders, or purpose-built rental apartments that are very old, built in the 80s, that are now being deconstructed there and teared down, so once again, developers and builders can come. The builder here is Center Court Developments Inc. And the anticipated completion date in terms of occupancy. Now, occupancy is not when it closes, right? Those are two different things. But the anticipated occupancy is in 2024. It's going to be 46 stories and 595 suites. So it's going to be a relatively tall project, right? A lot of projects that have already been built on the east side, closer to Regent Park, don't really reach 30 stories, let alone 46 stories. And once again, this is far more central, obviously, than Regent Park and further east of this, because it's minutes away from Ryerson University, minutes away from Yonge and Dundas. And these are points I will bring up back later in assessing the value of this pre-construction project. But as you can see with the map that I've provided in the corner of the screen, how close this is in proximity to, once again, Ryerson Universities and most other amenities in the downtown area, and what area we're really discussing here. The deposit structure is actually quite an extended deposit structure. You have about $10,000 on signing, 5% within 30 days, and then 2.5% within 45 days, 2.5% within 60 days, another 2.5% within 90 days, so on and so forth. One of the downsides and one of the negatives, which is actually more of a common theme right now, is that parking is only included for 2-bedroom units. Okay, now let's start looking at the prices, for instance, for 1-bedroom and 1+1s, and we'll go through the floor plans as is the case on the screen. The 1-bed and 1-wash units start from 430 square feet, go to 450 square feet. So they're quite small. And in terms of prices, you're looking at 669, 672, and 684. So far above $1,000 per square foot. Now, in terms of the 1+1s, they range from $769 to $809,000. Obviously, exposure is different and layouts are different in terms of square footage. And in terms of square footage, you're looking at 520 to 580. Now, insofar as I am aware, these do not include the balcony or terrace as part of the square footage. So for instance, a 1-bed plus 1-bath plus 1 den with a southern exposure with 580 square foot, you're looking at $809,000. Whereas the cheapest 1+1, which is priced at $769, comes with only 1 bathroom as opposed to the 2 bathrooms we discussed, and it's about 30 square feet smaller at $539. The projected maintenance is 72 cents per square foot. And having looked at the feature sheets, the finishes, obviously you can upgrade on a lot of stuff, but from my experience, a lot of it looks like cheap builds. So what is my opinion on this project, having now stated most of the key facts here? And if you have any further questions, please ask me in the comments, or you can find my Gmail, my Instagram in the descriptions for your further questions. Here's the thing, it's obvious that this is advertised towards investors. It's clearly the case. They don't really care about end user lifestyle with this project. Look at where it's located. It's by Ryerson University, minutes away. Now that's a good thing, obviously, if you're an end user, because you might live there, you might have a kid that needs to go to university. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you're an end user, but that fact in conjunction with the prices they're charging per square foot for 1-bedrooms and 1+1s with 2 baths or 1 baths, and the material they're using for the finishes, and the overall design and aesthetic of the building, the logical inference, in my frank opinion, is that this is a project that is directed and curated for an investor base in Toronto in terms of investing in Toronto condominiums and investing in Toronto pre-construction projects. What's most likely going to happen is that a lot of investors will purchase condominiums and rent them out to students alike or working professionals who work around that part of downtown Toronto. But as opposed to most other buildings that are maybe a little further away, maybe closer to the waterfront, or maybe in the Niagara region of downtown Toronto, or maybe in a little Portugal, maybe further north and elsewhere in downtown Toronto, closer to even maybe a little midtown, this project is going to have a larger investor base for people who want to rent out condominium units to a tenant base of students due to its mere and simple proximity to Ryerson University. Now, I actually think this might be a score against this project because anyways, when you have a project that's once again purely built for people to buy and rent the units out, the finishings are not always the best. It's built a little quicker. The workmanship is always not the best because it's not advertised and directed towards a end user base. That exists, but on top of that, Ryerson has done a lot of work and put a lot of capital in building their own student housing as well. And not to say there won't be an ample tenant base in 2024. For all I know, Toronto will be underwater in 2024. However, it's a safe assumption to say that Ryerson University itself and all the money, investments, and capital they've put towards student housing themselves will cannibalize potential tenant base for this pre-construction project. For these reasons, I'm going to give this project a B-. The only reason it's not a C is because although the price per square foot they're asking for right now for downtown condos is ridiculous for 500 square feet 1-bedroom units, you have to understand that they're projecting towards 2024, and that price per square foot that they're asking for right now for a better built condominium with better finishings, a better aesthetic, and better workmanship would make complete sense. Here, I'm not sure it's gonna justify this price per square foot, although it's not that ridiculous and out of the world as it seems right now in this moment. Anyways, if you have any further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or in my Gmail and Instagram, which you can find in the description. As always, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is greatly appreciated as always. And as always, stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you very much for watching.